business. What is business? Business is life. Business is family. Business is how we live our lives. Daily, we have to engage in one transaction or the other. My name is Ubong Osoro, and I'm saying welcome to Business Point. I'm standing in for my colleague, Kike Lomo Okere, who happens to have a birthday today. A very happy birthday to the Queen of Business, Kike Lomo Okere. Today on the show, we are going to be looking at Naira, the stocks and the drops after Trump's military trades. We're also seeing Apapa Customs set records with 304 billion monthly collection, and retailers warn of looming cooking gas scarcity. Federal government and banks push for 20 billion naira diaspora fund, and Otedola hails Tinubu 15% petrol diesel import tariff, and also maybe Trump's threats could erode investors' confidence. That's coming from CPPE. All right, so let's look at the first story that we are trying to bring to you. Business story this morning. It says Naira stocks drop after Trump's military threat. So the Nigerian financial market has begun to note that Naira and equity weakened sharply following the remark by United States President Donald Trump, who threatened possible military action against Nigeria over alleged religious persecution. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria has shown that the Naira had traded at the 2025 peak of 1,421 to a dollar. I actually brought that to you, right? So when we had the Naira appreciate about 1,421, but after the announcement, we saw the Naira depreciate to about 1,436 kobo going for a dollar, marking a 1% decline of 14.61 loss in 1 day. The currency also weakened at the parallel market, trading at about 1,455 naira to a dollar, reflecting increased investor anxiety and foreign exchange demand pressure. To the sudden depreciation followed the weekend of heightened geopolitical tensions after Trump, via his Truth social media platform, labeled Nigeria a country of particular concern and directed the U.S. Department of War to prepare for possible action should alleged killings of Nigerian Christians persist. Right? So according to Trump, the move was a response to what he described as a Christian genocide in Nigeria, a claim that has sparked global debate and uncertainty about the diplomatic and economic implication for Africa's largest economy. The development quickly rippled through the financial market. At the Nigerian Exchange Limited, bearish trading resumed on Monday as the all-share index dropped by 0.25% to close at 1,530.11 points, trimming year-to-year gains to about 49.37%. The market capitalization also declined by 245.88 billion naira, settling at 97.58 trillion naira. So this downturn was largely driven by sell-off in Aredal Holding. Access Corporation investor sentiment also remained weak, with about 38 stocks declining against 19 gainers. So the Union Deco, a major top gainer, they were able to gain 9.93%, while Honeywell Flour Mill, also came out as the top losers, as they lost about 10.00%. So trading activities also slowed sharply as the total volume and traded plunged to about 87.94% and 44.64% respectively. And we also saw that about 627.5 million units worth of 25 billion naira was also lost as investor confidence continues to drop in the markets at this time. So United Bank for Africa dominated the session, accounting for 136.8 million units. That's about 21.8% of the total value of the market, valued at 5.5 billion naira. Across sectors, performance was mixed. In the oil and gas sector, we saw a 3.94% decrease. Commodity sector, we saw a 1.85% decrease. In the insurance sector, we saw a 1.5% 0.48 decrease, and in banking we saw a 0.22% decrease. All right, so all of this recorded losses, while consumer goods rose slightly by about 0.49%. The industrial sector closed at a flat rate. So in the bond markets, we have the Quarry Asset Management reported that investor appetite for Nigeria's Eurobond weakened on Monday, with the average yields rising by about 5%, 5 basic points, or 7.70%. The investment firm attributed this global risk aversion, macroeconomic uncertainty, and geopolitical concerns. So this is what we're having now, where we have the bonds performing at the worst performing stage that we've had this year because of some of these trades, and we are seeing global underperformers in the financial market. The bonds are maturing in 2047, fell flat at about 0.6% to $1. And despite the turmoil, some analysts described the reaction as temporary. Tileye Adebajo, Chief Executive Officer of the GFC Advisory, said that the market reaction was not sustainable. He says this appears to be a mere blip. Closing prices in global market today already reflects recovery. When Nigeria recently removed from the FAFC grey list, the market continues to offer strong, lasting-term fundamentals. But according to Dr. Musa Yusuf, CEO of the Center for Promotion and Private Enterprise, he warned that Trump's statements could seriously undermine investor confidence in Nigeria. According to him, the U.S. president's threat of military intervention in Nigeria is unwarranted, counterproductive, and economically destabilizing. Yusuf said in a policy brief that such remarks sent unsettling signals to investors, heighten risk perception, and undermine confidence in the Nigeria's economy. He added that while Nigeria must continue to strengthen its internal security and governance, any engagements with foreign power should be cooperative and not coercive. All right, and he went along to talk about how this could actually, affect the market. As the market awaits clarity on the U.S. policy and Nigeria's diplomatic response, analysts say sustained stability will deepen calm, confidence-building measures and consistent macroeconomic policy from the federal government and the CBN. All right, so this is what we're seeing in the market at this time, where we see that our stocks are dropping. Like I told you yesterday, we had appreciation where the Naira made the greatest gains for the year. We had about the Naira getting to 1,428, exchanging for $1. And just today, we've seen over 0.48% increase in that particular ratio because of this particular statement. And it brings a lot of worry as to what is really happening and what may happen in the economy, because as of now we are waiting for the policy direction of the US. What is the US government going to say, and what are they doing going forward? These are all conversations that we will be having, and people continue to look at the market at this time. Remember that Nigeria was just released from the FATF list. Nigeria was brought out of that list, and there was a lot of excitement in the market, and the market also responded positively to that particular news. But with this news, where we have U.S. President Donald Trump saying this, and analysts are saying that some persons are selling off their bonds, and it is affecting the markets because our investors are being a little bit skeptical to say, all right, is this where we want to go? Is the economy safe and all of that? But the Nigerian government also has a role to play. They have to stand up and make sure that they restore investor confidence by putting in action, because investors want to see action so they could put their money where they actually see action. All right, so the other story we'll be taking this morning, it's about Apapa Customs, as the Apapa Customs set records with 304 billion monthly collection. So the Nigerian Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, has achieved a historic milestone by generating a record 304 billion in revenue. This was revenue that they were able to generate for the month of October 2025, the highest monthly collection by any customs command in the history of the service. I need to take this again, right? So the Apapa Customs set record by generating in just 1 month for the federal government of Nigeria 304 billion monthly collection. This is phenomenal. This is good business for Nigeria. We keep talking about how we can actually, set up the space where we have taxes that are being raised, right? So this could go into other businesses. This could go to transform the small scale, medium enterprise. This could go into other sectors of the economy. And the Apapa Customs Service is actually setting up the standard to say, yes, we could raise that. We could, have a system where we record and we're able to do good business with the way we raise funds, right? So the questions people may want to ask is, how do we tie these funds into development? How do we tie these funds into entrepreneurship, small scale businesses? How does all of this add up in the final analysis? But wonderful, fantastic job done by the Apapa Customs. The Apapa Customs set record with 304 billion monthly collection. So the Nigerian Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, has achieved a historic milestone, generating a record 304 billion revenue in October 2025, the highest monthly collection by any custom command in the history of the Nigerian Customs Service. Amazing, 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 right? This is good for business. The investors want to see that the country is able to raise money and be able to put those monies where it matters, to put it in infrastructure and in other things. So this figure, announced in a statement by the command's public relations officer Tunde Ayabolo, represents a remarkable leap from the 264 billion collected in October. With this new record, the Apapa Command has now brought its total revenue for the first 10 months that Apapa Custom Command has raised for just the first 10 months of 2025. They've raised 2.4 trillion naira, surpassing its entire 2024 collection 2 months before the end of the year. According to the Customs Area Controller General Emmanuel Oshoba, the achievements reflect the customs' growing efficiency, dedication of officers, and commitment of the Nigerian Customs Service revenue generation and trade facilitation mandate. He said the latest revenue feat is only the beginning of more exploits under my watch. Oshoba said it is an initial proof of our readiness to process a higher volume of trade, translating to greater returns for the federal government of Nigeria. So this is actually very amazing. Oshoba credited the command's performance to reforms in trade facilitation, improved compliance among port users, and the ongoing deployment of technology-driven customs operation. The area controller revealed that the command is preparing for a new drive-through scanning regime that will process an average of 150 containers per hour directly from the quayside, a development that he described as revolutionary in the annals of the West African port operation. He explained that the system would drastically reduce clearance time, decongest the port, and enhance transparency. I think for me, this is actually very important because we talk about the time where how long our containers stay at the port before they are being cleared because of obvious manpower reasons, right? The congestion, there's a lot of containers coming in, and because basically we don't use all of the ports in the country like that. We use the Apapa ports, we use Lekki port and all of that, but the Port Harcourt ports rarely is being used. The Calabar ports, the same thing. So a lot of all of the importers, things that are coming to Nigeria, our sisters, our friends, families, business people that are bringing things to Nigeria, push it through the Apapa port. So you could imagine the number of containers that get there every day. So with this new system that Oshoba, who's the Controller General of that particular command, is talking about, it will drastically reduce clearance time, decongest the port, and enhance transparency in cargo handling, thereby attracting investor confidence in the Nigeria's maritime trade environment. The controller also noted that the newly promoted deputy and assistant controller of customs are undergoing in-house training session aimed at enhancing technical capacity and leadership skills in line with the prerogative of the Controller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi. He said he is commending its officers and compliance stakeholders for the milestone, but it is not their final destination. He stated that they are going to be deploying tools of trade facilitation, including one-stop shop service that harmonizes procedures to save time and also to boost efficiency, because we have to talk about leakages, all right, and the demand for shortfalls and maintaining a zero compromise stance against duty evasion. This is so important. We have to do it. It does not matter who you are. When you bring your containers into the country, you have to go through the port process and be cleared, right? It doesn't matter who has what, and this is what we need to do. And I think it's a good one coming from the Nigerian Customs. He added that officers have been placed on high alert to detect and address attempts by importers to misapply or harmonize system codes to evade import duties. In a bid to enhance port efficiency, Oshoba disclosed that he had a marked and unannounced visit to port access roads to engage directly with stakeholders, including truckers, freight forwarders, and licensed custom agents. So customs concluding enhanced training for senior officers in Tinkan. The Tinkan facility is about $120 billion US transport fund, crucial for the after gains, to show how serious the Nigerian custom is at this point too. And talk about the fact that he also personally, visits some of these places. So this is a wonderful news for the Nigerian Customs Service, and we hope and we wish them more successful housing to come. Let's go for this short break and welcome back. Business Point continues. Global television means business, and yes, we do mean business. All right, so another story we're taking for you this morning says retailers warn of looming cooking gas scarcity. So Nigeria may be facing another wave of cooking gas scarcity as retailers have warned that suppliers of the liquefied petroleum gas are turning once again. The alarm comes barely weeks after consumers began recovery from the last round of shortages that sent gas prices skyrocketing. Retailers said that Dangote Petroleum Refinery has become the only major supplier of the liquefied petroleum gas to the local market, sparking concerns that any disruption in its operations could trigger another nationwide shortage. In Abeokuta, Ogun State, a retailer, one of the retailers said that he is very uncertain, and there's been a lot of uncertainty surrounding gas availability, saying there's no major improvement in LPG supplies at the moment. He said, we don't know what will happen in the next few days or few weeks, and also across different parts of Nigeria. The prices of cooking gas, is ranging between 1,200 to 1,500, some places even 1,700, depending on the location. And this marks a steep increase from around 900 naira that is been for a long time. So because Dangote Refinery seems to be the only major supplier of the liquefied petroleum gas in Nigeria, so any disruption to the Dangote Refinery system could obviously affect the whole country. So I remember the last time when we had the industrial disruption of the Dangote Refinery and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria at that time disrupted supply. That's Penderson. So the national chairman of the liquefied petroleum gas retailers, one of them, Ayobumi Orayo, confirmed that the supply from Dangote Refinery alone could not meet domestic consumption. That is what he's saying. He's saying that Dangote is selling, but he cannot meet domestic supply production in Nigeria at this time. He explained that most depots across the country had exhausted their stocks, creating a widening supply gap. The imbalance, he said, could make cooking gas become very costly in Nigeria, from importing gas due to price disparity between Dangote Refinery output and rates charges by the middlemen most of these depot owners are already running out of supply of cooking gas. And we'll talk about how this can also further affect our economy and what Nigeria could do at this time to make sure that we do not run into these problems again. He warned that prices could spike again if the refinery temporarily halts operation for maintenance. He said, if not, Dangote does not go on maintenance, we'll keep working with the current range. All right, so what we're hoping for is that Dangote refinery does not go on maintenance in anytime soon, because if it does, it's going to affect the entire value chain of the liquefied petroleum gas. That's LPG, which is cooking gas, and it goes ahead to affect Nigeria and the prices that will buy this product in the market at this time. So it is something that Nigerians must actually look out for. But officials at the Dangote refinery has dismissed allegation of overpricing, insisting that retail prices are beyond the company's control. So marketers actually pick up LPG at Dangote refinery at 715 naira metric tons per metric ton. So what that means is that Dangote is saying that at the refinery we sell our gas, cooking gas, at 715 naira. That's how much we sell at the refinery. So if you are a marketer and you're buying from Dangote refinery directly, that means you should be getting cooking gas at about 715 naira per kilogram. That's how much they are selling at the refinery, according to one of the authorities at Dangote refinery. So you want to ask yourself the question, why is it that they sell at 715 naira, but before it gets to the common man, we buy at 18, 17, 15, and all of that? And Dangote refinery spokesperson went on to say that they do not control the retail prices. The Petroleum Industry Act and the Nigerian Mainstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority determine prices regulation. If retailers sell at 2,000 per kg after buying 750, there's nothing we can do. But these are conversations that we must have, because Dangote refinery is saying that we sell cooking gas a kilo for 715 naira. So why are we buying it for 1,700? Even if they want to make gain, it shouldn't exceed 1,000 naira. At this point, exceeding 1,000 naira, I think, is not good for our economy, because if you are getting a product for 715 naira at the refinery, at station, let's say for your transportation and gain and everything, it shouldn't exceed 1,000 naira. Nigerians should not be buying this cooking gas beyond 1,000 naira. But these retailers are saying that if Dangote refinery goes on maintenance, it will affect the entire consumers, because at this point there's nothing we can do about it, because he's looking as the only person who is supplying gas in Nigeria at this time, and it calls for talks about what Nigeria can do to actually move forward. Let's see if we can take a few more stories before we are able to run out of the studio with the story that we have for you. The next story we're taking this morning says federal government and banks push for $20 billion the hospital fund. All right. That's the next story we're taking, and that's going to be the last story we're taking this morning. Federal government and banks push for $20 billion diaspora fund. So the federal government, through the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, NIDA, and other leading banks and private sector investors have launched a fresh push to harness over $20 billion in annual diaspora remittance to drive national economic growth. According to a statement made available, NIDA is set to hold its 8th Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit in conjunction with the Nigerian Diaspora Summit Initiative as part of efforts to channel the $20 billion diaspora inflow into productive investments that will spur national development. The statement noted that the summit, scheduled to be held between 11th to 13th of November 2025 at the State House in Abuja, is still fast-tracking regional and national development, mobilizing diaspora investment. It seeks to convert diaspora wealth, skills, and innovation into ventures that could contribute to Nigeria's economic transformation. Nigerians, the statement said, NIDA 2025, billed as a hybrid event, would bring together diaspora investors, business leaders, policymakers to explore investment-ready projects across key sectors, including energy, real estate, finance, and technology. To also feature keynote session, investment pitches, exhibition, and high-level skill opportunity. But this is actually very important, because the federal government is saying, let's see how we can partner more with those in the diaspora to be able to push out those funds to Nigeria. A lot of remittances are done. A lot of people send money home from the diaspora. So how do we harness this for economic growth in Nigeria at this particular time. President Bola Tinubu is expected to attend that particular forum as a special guest of honor, while the chairman, chief executive officer of the Diaspora Commission, NIDDA, that's talking about Dr. Abike Dabira Erewa, will serve as the chief host. The statement quoted Dabira saying that NIDDA has evolved into a catalyst for building transformative partnership across Nigeria and its global citizens. The Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit continues to connect the diaspora to tangible investment prospects and the country. So we're going to be having this prospect very soon, this event very soon, where we'll have the Nigerian diaspora community come to have a meeting in Nigeria to talk about how we can harness more of our remittances. $20 billion diaspora fund brought into Nigeria every year by Nigerians in the diaspora. This is big money that could go into business, that could go into economy, that could go into different sectors of our national life and just build Nigeria, make Nigeria bigger, right? So last two stories, we'll just take the headlines. We'll not go deeply into it because we're running out of time now. We've had that Femi Otedola has held Tinubu's 15% petrol and diesel import tariff policy. So the chairman of FESCO, that's Femi Otedola, one of Nigeria's richest person, have actually come out to say Tinubu 15% petrol and diesel import tariff is a good one, and he's saying congratulations, thank you so much, President Bola Tinubu, for what you are doing. The last story we're taking tonight, this morning, says Trump threats could erode investor confidence in Nigeria. That's coming from the Center for Private Policy Evaluation. One of the centers says Trump threats could erode investors' confidence in Nigeria, and already we are seeing that the stocks are being feeling the ripples of this particular statement done by U.S. President. And that's where we get to draw the curtain on today's edition of Business Point. My name is Ubong Usora, and I'll be standing in for my wonderful colleague, which today happens to be her birthday, the Queen of Business, Kikolomo Okere. And I say when I come on the show that global television means business, you mean business, and we mean business. Nigeria means business. Good morning and bye for now.